what's going through your mind as you're going to visit them?
Oh, I'm excited. I have a lot of personal relationships with a lot of those guys, a lot of love for those players, or the coaching staff. So it's a fun game for me personally to go back and be in the atmosphere that I began my career in.
How the organization's different? Houston to Kansas City. I'm not asking you to speak ill of your previous employer, but just what do you come in here and you go, okay, this is what they're doing here?
Well, the clearest difference is right now the Texans are still in a little bit of a rebuilding stage, and Kansas City is in the middle of a championship run. So the pieces are a little bit better put together at this moment in time, although Casario and Lovie Smith, I'm sure, do a great job rebuilding that culture and building the Texans back up again.
Justin, with the secondary, I know it's been some up and downs going on there, especially with Denver. What's the conversations been like to try to improve as you get into the stretch run for you guys?
Yeah, to take a step back, look at the big picture, and really focus on ourselves, not so much what other teams have been doing, but how can we get better each and every day at our technique and really tighten up the defense so that those leaky yardage plays, like the screen play, just eliminate those from our game. Because as we know in the NFL football, in the National Football League, plays that you get and you let up like that, you're going to tend to see them again until we prove that we can stop them.
Specifically with the cornerbacks, though, I know in the safety you're talking to them, but specifically with them, they're young. I mean, they're at the point where they'd be preparing for college bowl games now. So, what has it been like them seeing them trying to just make sure they still keep up and ramp up because they know your stretch run now, the NFL is a lot different than their stretch run that they've experienced before.
And the games will continue to get faster, especially as we start approaching January. The games will start to get faster. Still give a lot of credit to them. They're young guys and came in. We put a lot on their plate. I mean, to have 2, 3, 4 rookies sometimes on the field playing 30, 40, 60 snaps a game. That's not an easy task, especially with the defense that we run. But they've been up to the challenge, and each week they've gotten a little bit better. You're going to have ups and downs in the National Football League. That's how the league goes. Opposing offenses have some firepower too, but overall, you've seen that they've grown both mentally and following the defense and also their technique-wise. And as things go up and down, this trend is still heading upward. So we're going to need them to come through, and I expect and I'm confident in them to still come through for us as this stretch continues to go down the road.
Justin, you kind of hinted at this. I mean, you do feel maybe at 27-0, you guys are getting stops, the offense is going up and down the field, that maybe there was kind of an exhale and a little bit of a letdown that kind of opened the door?
Yeah, and it's still a divisional matchup, so the Denver Broncos are never one to go down easy, especially when you're playing inside of the division. But I think there's still a lot of lessons to be taken from that. I mean, you've seen upsets happen across the league. We were able to come out of that one still with the win. But still to take that with us going forward, that when we have a team in that position, to really keep our foot on the pedal and not allow it to even become close.
Yeah, I know everyone's on scholarship, right? Like even if they're not having the season they want to have, they're good players, good coaches.
All it takes is a swing of momentum.
Right. Did they make an adjustment there at the end of the first half? I know because your offense then I think had a quick 3 and out, and you guys had to get right back out there. So if they made a change, you didn't have a lot of time to maybe look at the tablets and do all that.
Yeah, Russell started hurting us a little bit more with his legs. Started scrambling a little bit more, and let's not sleep on Russell Wilson and the type of player that he is. It isn't his best year right now, but he's still a Super Bowl champion, Walter Payton Man of the Year, and a very high caliber quarterback. So once he got his footing underneath him, he was able to do some damage to us. But like I said earlier, you guys got to use that as a learning lesson and continue to move forward and focus on ourselves as we approach the Houston Texans.
Justin, you played with Davis Mills last year and also Driscoll. Give us a scouting report on those guys. What do you think about those two guys?
Yeah, they have a unique 1-2 combo. Davis Mills, a little bit more of the pocket passer. Guy is very, very accurate whenever he's able to get comfortable in the pocket and deliver balls on rhythm timing. And Jeff Driscoll, I kind of liken him to Taysom Hill, a guy who can get gritty, a lot of quarterback option, physical runner, good speed. So they got a good 1-2 punch there that they're trying to work.
Any more difficulty than normal knowing you're preparing for 2 guys?
Well, yeah, you're preparing for 2 different quarterbacks, so a lot of focus ends up being who's the guy under center, and that changes the way they want to play a little bit.
You mentioned, was trying to ask, I'm not saying bad about the Texans or their organization, but when you were there as a young player, they felt like they were getting into those championship years and how quickly things can kind of fall apart. Is that a lesson learned for you to just not say, it's just going to be like this forever, and you guys have to stay on all the time?
Yeah, well, the NFL, the system of the NFL is built for teams to be 8-8 teams. You know, with the draft position, with the way that the waiver claims work, and everything like that. It's also a lesson in just how fast things can turn around. You know, going from a 12-4 team to a team that's 4-12. Every year is different in the NFL. Credit to the coaching staff and the core group of guys that are here in the Kansas City Chiefs that we've been able to sustain less for, you know, a number of years now. That is by no means easy at all. There's a huge amount of credit that goes up to Clark Hunt and all the way down that tree from there. But the NFL changes very quickly. I mean, Miami has turned itself around from a team now struggling to now a team that is doing very well. And, you know, that's the same thing that can happen over there.
Justin, you guys have gotten some picks recently with the backers and the key pick from Snead at the end of the game, this past game. Is there an emphasis right now behind the scenes of you know, ball hawk type of mentality, and how does that maybe shift a little bit, you know, as you try to carry that into the secondary?
Yeah, we've been putting a higher emphasis on takeaways, how we can get them interceptions, forced fumbles. There hasn't been enough so far in the season, but the positivity is that hopefully we're just saving them for this last stretch in December, January, February, and we can get them all now.
Justin, that first play of the game, did you tip the ball that went off Trent's?
Yeah, I did get a hand on it.
You got a hand on it?
Yeah, I'm going to change the directory slightly.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious. Thanks.
Those last two surrender.
Talking about the turnovers, Pete was just asking, you know, you remember when you were a young player and you got young corners back there. There are a number of plays where maybe they've gone for a reception or a touchdown or something, but your guys are there, but maybe they're not getting their head around. Right? Is that the
Yeah, that's just an
experience
experience
of the game?
thing, you know. And as you play in the league longer, your confidence level continues to build up. And then honestly, you start seeing route concepts a lot more because the game changes from college to the NFL. But once you get used to the coaching and the style of offenses NFL teams run, you start to learn how teams want to attack us. First, you get our defense down, and then once you really feel confident in our defense, you can start noticing patterns on how teams like to attack us. You start being able to predict plays, and when you get in those situations, you have a little bit higher level of confidence to turn around and make the play.
When did that hit for you? I guess I'll say that you can start predicting plays. 8 games in, second year, third year?
It's different for every player. You know, guys come along at different speeds. For me personally, it was probably about the midway point. It's really after I got the first one. My first pick, I think, was Dallas. Might have been Dallas or Washington. I don't remember which one was first. But then after that, you know, once you get one, they come in bunches. Ended up getting 2 more that year.
Justin, you said a minute ago you guys were emphasizing forcing some fumbles and getting some picks. How do you do that? How do you emphasize that? What can you do to sort of speed that process along, so to speak?
First and foremost is practice habits. In practice, if it doesn't happen in practice, it's not going to just magically start happening in the game. So we've been harping on it, really have a focus on getting our head across, getting physical, punching the ball out, that type of stuff. And then in the game, you just got to follow through with it. You know, you just can't let your coaching and your training go by the wayside when you get to the game situation. Obviously, in opportunities where you got to make the tackle and secure it first. But when the opportunity is there that the tackle is secure and you have a chance to rip at the ball, we need to do that a little bit more.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Yep, appreciate you guys.